Hello, my name is Naomi Colas and I am with the Service Desk, and today's presentation is going to be an overview of the consolidated data collection called ESU District System School Information Report. Today we'll talk about just some basics of the collection itself. We'll talk about some examples of what the collection is used for, discuss some helpful information while completing the collection, and then also give an overview of the various uses for the data that's collected through this. So the ESU District System School Information Report is found in the Consolidated Data Collection, the CDC. If you need access to it or have any troubles accessing it in your portal account, please start a ticket with the Service Desk. We're happy to help you work through that. This particular collection collects information specific to each system within the state. So that could mean district school names, addresses, phone and fax, website information, and even AQuest classification grade level changes for public districts. Recently, within the last couple of years, we also started collecting the virtual status of each school in the state. The collection is also used to capture any potential year-over-year changes, things such as adding a new school district, adding any new schools, closing schools, and any changes in grade levels per building. That's a frequent use of this collection as well. So every single school system in the state, except for post-secondary, is going to complete this collection. That includes public districts, non-public systems, ESUs, Rule 18 facilities, and special purpose schools. The collection opens on May 1st, and it is due on June 15th. Then we have a couple weeks where we have an audit window to ensure that all the schools have submitted the collection, and that closes on June 30th. So the collection is frequently used for various scenarios. I've listed a couple here. One could be potentially a district adding a new school. So let's say the district is going to open up a second elementary school. If this is the case, you'll want to start a ticket with the Service Desk. We'll get the information into the system and then you'll verify it for us. Another use of the collection is to change and update grade levels. So let's say you're going to move your third graders from elementary building A, which is now going to be K through 2, and you're going to move them to elementary B because there's more room there. So you're going to change the grade levels in each of those schools, and you're going to report that change to us. One thing to note about this particular collection, it's open in the spring, and it's actually telling us information for the next school year. So it's not really capturing any changes for the current school year. It's going to tell us about information going into the next school year. Another use for this collection is changing the school type, potentially. We've had a lot of these recently where a school needs to be changed from one school, a secondary school, which is grades 7 through 12, to two different schools, one being high school, 9 through 12, and the other being middle, 6 through 8. So an example of this is because sixth graders are being moved to the secondary building. And since sixth graders cannot be in a secondary building, there's a listing in Rule 10, we'll get into that in a little bit. Two numbers are now going to be needed, one for middle and one for high school. So as I talked about, there's some specific rule guidance that kind of dictate some of the categorizations within the collection itself. So according to Rule 10, there is a minimum requirement of 2 school buildings. And the various types of schools, we'll get into each of these. There's secondary, high, middle, and then a couple more on the next slide. So a secondary building, as I mentioned earlier, is a system that cannot include any grades below grade 7. So it can be any combination 7 through 12, but it cannot include sixth graders or below. A high school is going to be grades 9 through 12. If you're a 4-year high school, and grades 10 through 12 if your system is organized with the 3-year high school. And this is language literally from Rule, so there's no change to this currently in plan. So then finally, middle grades, those are going to be designated as anything from grades 4 through 9. So there's a lot of flexibility there. A lot of times schools generally, it's 6 through 8, but it can be any grades from 4 through 9. The other 2 types of schools within the collection that are described within Rule are elementary, which means any grades PK through 7, but it cannot include any grade above 8. And then you've got pre-kindergarten. So that's any grade level below kindergarten. So a lot of early childhood buildings, things like that. Another one of the definitions from within the collection talk about different programs. So for this particular collection, when you're completing it, or let's say you have a program at your school you're completing it for, a collection means a special or limited array of educational opportunities are provided. So some examples of that could be a SPED program within a district or an alternative program, a couple listed there. So the data, when we've collected it through the collection, the data is used for several different things. One of the biggest things is our master agencies list. This is the list that defines the locations that are used by, the portal, advisor, CDC. It's just it defines a lot of this information. We get a lot of data requests from various colleges, public media sources. So a lot of times this information is used for those requests. And even here on the education directory, I put a link here, we use the information. So this is a directory available to the public where they can go and search for various types of schools within the state, different staff that are within each of these schools at the state. So that can be really helpful. We offer a changes report. It's a PDF document that we update throughout the year as changes are made. Some of the biggest things that this PDF can be really helpful for is seeing if a school district closes, or let's say it consolidates, or a new high school is created, and it lists all the information, the grades that are going to be included in the new school and the new school number. And then lastly, we also offer an Excel file, and again, I've linked it here, that lists every school district code that comes out of this master agencies list. And this can be really helpful if you are trying to see what other school numbers are. Like let's say you're at ESU and you want to see one of your school districts and what their school building numbers are. You can look at the Excel list and have all of that easily accessible to you. So a couple of resources for you. There's some collection instructions. They can be found through this web link, but also within the CDC itself, within the collection. And then most importantly, the service desk and our email address is advisorhelp@nebraskacloud.org. We are always available to answer any questions that you may have about the ESU District System School Information Report. So please email us if you have any other questions. Max Reiner did help me put this presentation together because he and I co-share this collection as far as managing it and making sure that schools get it completed for the year. So thank you, Max, for your help with that. But both he and I's email addresses are listed there. So please let us know if you have any additional questions about it. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.